Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Two Guys and a Mouse, the show that gives you all the Disney news, tips, and tricks to get you the most out of your Disney vacation. I'm Lance, and we're here with Les, and today we're going to talk about some of the news as of 12/6/2021, as well as some travel tips for your next Disney vacation. And all of that is coming up next. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to start today's episode off by going over some of the news that came out today, or actually this week, the week of December 6th, 2021. So all the fans have been requesting it, and I'm happy to announce that Disney announced that the trams are coming back. The Magic Kingdom trams are coming back later this month, which is the month of December. And the other tram systems at the other parks are going to be returning sometime in 2022. An exact date has yet to be announced, but I know everybody is super excited about that. So, way to go, Disney.
That should make everybody happy.
Yeah, for real. You know, lots of fan requests for trams to come back, and we spoke and they listened. So, earlier this week, there was an AWS, or Amazon Web Services, outage that halted a bunch of operations at the parks down at Walt Disney World. Also affected other industries as well, but apparently Disney leverages Amazon Web Services for a bunch of operations and services, and some of the services that were actually affected this week was the MDE app, the Genie Plus, the admission systems, as well as the reservation systems and credit card sales, as well as gift certificates. So yeah, a lot of systems were that were hinging on that, you know, just stopped. The services have been restored, and you know, there was a statement put out by Amazon, and I'll put a link to in the description below. But yeah, there was a statement put out by Amazon, and you know, hey, that's what happens, technology, right? So.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people complaining on Facebook about that. So, like you said, the gift cards, people couldn't use gift cards. They couldn't check their balances on their cards. They had no idea how much money they had. The MDE app wasn't working. It caused a lot of havoc within Disney itself. So it's, you know, as Lance and I both have an IT background, it at least makes me wonder, you know, is Disney going to re-examine their dependency on Amazon Web Services, or are they going to keep the proverbial eggs in one basket, or are they going to maybe do something a little bit different, or they're going to put a little not leverage, but they're going to lean on Amazon and be like, you know, hey, you know, this can't happen because this affected our operations and our business in a really negative way. So it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, becomes of this. So
right, and when Amazon puts out a statement in the aftermath of all of this, I'm going to research it a little bit and see what happened. You know, it's been my experience, and this may be a discussion for another video on another channel at another time, but you know, typically when you engineer something of the size of this magnitude, you've got redundancies and you've got, you know, backup systems in place. So, you know, was it an oopsie on Amazon's side, or was it, you know, an engineering oversight on the Disney side that when Amazon went down, you know, whether it was through malicious attack or an oops, you know, somebody plugged into the wrong port or whatever, you know, why did it affect Disney in such a huge manner? I mean, yeah, other systems were affected in other businesses, but you know, I don't know to what magnitude, right? But
right.
And anyway, another discussion for another day. But you know, on that same token, that same day, the monorail system went down. I don't believe it was related. You know, the news outlets report that the monorail outage was due to a track switcher malfunction or some rust on the rails or something like that. But you know, it was all on the same day, and it just, you know, all happened to be at one time. So the guests were not happy, but you know, it is what it is. You can't please everybody all the time, right?
Right.
So
Even
and
Disney
then,
has bad days.
yeah, for sure. But I would suspect that even Disney's bad days are better than some other places' good days. So, you know,
Right.
yeah. Thunder Mountain Railroad has announced that they will be closing for their refurbishment on February 14th, 2022, and they are expected to reopen a short time later on February 19th, 2022. So small window of refurbishment. So nothing too major, just standard, fix some couple of things that need to be fixed. So, but how about Splash Mountain, Les?
Yeah, continuing along that line, Splash Mountain is going to be closing for refurbishment work on January 10th of 2022. It's expected to reopen around February 10th, so we're looking right around a month. And it is not related to the retheming of the ride. So if you've seen the news outside of what Lance and I bring to you, or if you've missed the previous videos, we have talked about this, where eventually Disney is going to retheme Splash Mountain from its current theming to The Princess and the Frog. So this maintenance is not in relation to that retheming. There's a lot of concerned fans, or some excited fans, depending on what your opinion is of the retheming on that ride, but it is not related to that. So everybody can take a deep breath and kind of relax. And it's regular maintenance that basically Splash Mountain goes through every year, or almost every year. It's all these rides need maintenance. They don't operate flawlessly without maintenance. So
Drain the water, clean the pipes, etc., etc.
yeah. So moving on, Cosmic Rewind, which is the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot. Disney announced, and in an interview with Imagineer Wyatt Winter, Wyatt indicated that the ride will feature a combination of digital media and, along with, much to my happiness, the series' signature soundtrack. So if you've seen the movies, it has an awesome soundtrack that
It's a really good soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of songs from the 60s and 70s that a lot of people really liked. I actually just saw an article on that today, as a matter of fact, on the day that we're recording this, that soundtrack, when the movie came out, actually went to the top of the Billboard charts, if I remember the article correctly. And it's the first time that a soundtrack has ever done that with songs that were previously recorded and released. So there's not a single new song on that soundtrack. It's all songs that were out in the 60s and 70s, and they just put it all together in a compilation and released it as a soundtrack for the movie. But it's an awesome soundtrack. So
very cool.
And then also came out this week I'm not sure if I'm surprised or not, but DVC, which is the Disney Vacation Club, is ending their exchange partnership with RCI. So RCI is one of the larger timeshare corporations that exist around the world. They have locations worldwide. I believe it's over 4,000 locations, if I remember correctly. In many, many different countries. It's not only a US or a North America thing. So basically with DVC, if you're a member, you could take your points from your DVC membership and you could exchange those for an RCI stay at one of their many, many resorts. Well, Disney Vacation Club has now indicated that that partnership will end at the end of 2021. And then starting January 1st of 2022, they will be partnering with Interval International in an exclusive exchange partnership. So they're just swapping out one company for the other. From what I've read and heard, Interval International is just as large as RCI. The statement that was released in an email that came out concerning this was, through Interval International, you will have access to thousands of resorts, including a specially curated portfolio of high-quality properties selected especially for members. This expanded portfolio includes well-known resorts offered by Marriott, Sheraton, Hyatt, and Western, to name a few. So a lot of those are really high-end. I've stayed in Hyatts before, and I know that they're pretty quality. hotels and resorts. So exchanges. Go ahead.
How do you think our points are going to be? You know, how far do you think our points are going to go? Because with RCI, the point exchange value was very poor. It was like something like, I could spend 300 points and go several times a year to Walt Disney World, right? Through DVC, but if I wanted to exchange those points for, to say, go, Europe or, somewhere else through RCI, I basically got 1 day, So it was a very poor exchange rate. I'm hoping that with this, announcement that we get a little bit more value to our points if we were going to, exchange through the Interval International. What do you think?
I hope as well, because that has been a complaint of DVC members, is that when they go to exchange their DVC points for stays at RCI, that it's just like you said, it's the value is not there. Even if the equivalent of, just say, let's imagine I'm staying a week at a deluxe resort, and I'll just pick the Polynesian because that's my home resort through DVC, right, is not necessarily the same room or the same accommodations that I'm going to get for a week through RCI. Whereas at Disney, my week is in a deluxe room at a deluxe resort, and right, that same points that are exchanged with RCI may only get me a moderate level room or even lesser than that. So the quality of the stay is not the same, and that's been a complaint for a long time, because they've been partnered with RCI for, I believe, 10 years or more. So it'll be interesting to see, and I haven't seen those details yet, what the exchange rate will be with Interval International. So I assume that those details will come out either right at the end of this current calendar year, 2021, or once they partner with them starting January 1st, those kind of details will be released. But we did take a look around last night, my wife and I, just to see what some of the properties are with this new exchange partner, and we were specifically looking for Key West. And the funny thing is, we know that there's a timeshare in Key West that we were hoping to stay at through RCI, and we couldn't find this property there. So lo and behold, last night when I looked, this timeshare is a part of Interval International, so we are actually pretty excited about that. It'll give us an opportunity to stay elsewhere besides Disney, and that we're looking forward to. So we'll definitely check it out, and when that time comes, and if we do stay there, we'll be able to report on what the exchange rate was like. Is it worth it? Is it just like RCI? Is it better? Is it worse? So we'll give all those details. And for those members who did book through RCI, those exchange contracts will be honored through 2023. And even if someone chooses to book through RCI, they can still do that through the end of this calendar year. But starting January 1st, that contract will end again. So I think that pretty much wraps up what the highlights of what came out of Walt Disney World this week. So
very cool. Very cool. So on to the bulk of this episode, or the main topic, traveling to Walt Disney World, planning, and just basically some travel tips on your way to getting to the happiest place on earth. Before we get into that, guys, though, I want to say thanks for joining us. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and turning notifications on so that you know whenever we release new content. Also, please find us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you liked the video, please click the like button and share it with your friends. It'll really help out the channel. So, with that being said, obviously Les and I are Disney fans, and we get to go, whenever we can. Matter of fact, the whole reason that this episode got sparked was because we're actually going to be taking a trip for the new year, right, Les?
yes, exactly.
Yep.
So looking forward to it.
Yep. It was one of those things where we had planned to go down. We're going to play some golf and report on some of the golf courses down at the Walt Disney World Resort. We're going to bring you some live videos and a little bit of the goings-ons down there. But yeah, so there's lots of travel tips that we'd like to share with you guys. And I'm going to start off by saying, first and foremost, use a packing list or some kind of like list. Stay organized. There's a lot that goes on into a Disney trip, whether it's a last minute trip, a trip that's been planned for, 360 days out, or, just a your regular vacation that you go on every year. Stay organized, use some kind of a list. No shame in using a list, guys. On your travel day, when you travel, you have to go to the airport if you're flying. Make sure that if you are flying and you're flying domestic, please get to the airport at least 2 hours in advance. I travel a lot for work. And these are just some of the simple tips that I've picked up, Make your life less stressful. Get there 2 hours in advance, especially if you're traveling with a large group or with children. Get there as early as you can to get yourself through security without having to stress out about it, rush, because inevitably something's going to happen. There's going to be a snag somewhere along the line. And if you give yourself enough time, you can roll with these punches and still have a fantastic vacation. Likewise, if you're traveling internationally, for our international fans and followers, get there 4 hours in advance. You're already on vacation, get there as early as you can. 4 hours, that gets you through customs, it'll get you through security, and then just hang out. I know nobody really wants to wait, but, the airports that I travel at have lots of great accommodations. If you have status, you can visit some of the lounges if you travel enough. The airport lounges themselves that are open to the general public, they're very nice. There's even some places, like I know in Newark Liberty, in the terminals, they'll bring your drink out to you. So, just relax and that way you can kind of enjoy your vacation and not get too keyed up, before you get there. Also, on the way back, Magical Express, when they were in operation, they were very good at getting you to the airport with enough time to get through security, get everything checked in, and low stress on your way home. So,
yeah, the old adage, better safe than sorry. So. Oh
yeah, for sure. I like to over prep. It's better to over prepare, and not need it than it is to be under prepared and have to scramble. That's just my opinion. But on the same token of getting this through security, be in the know, guys. Check with your state's website to make sure that your ID is compliant. Right now, because we live in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is not Real ID compliant. Well, they are, but so we just entered into the Real ID program. We have an extension through May of 2023 that, because of the pandemic, it should have started 2 years ago. But because of the pandemic, they've extended it through May of 2023, that if you don't have a Real ID, you can still travel with a Pennsylvania license. But moving forward beyond that, you will need a Real ID to board a domestic flight. I personally...
Or a passport.
Or a passport. Yeah, I was just going to say, I personally have a passport and a passport card. Whenever I travel, I have my ID as well as my passport card, which you can't use. Now, a passport card is significantly less expensive. So if a passport's cost prohibitive to some people, because they are about $125, $130 for the passport card is a little bit less expensive. That can get you through basically border crossings or off of a boat, basically. And I think it's only $30 or $40 for the passport card. If you get your actual passport and passport card together as a package, they do give you a little bit of a discount because it's all with the same processing. But I always carry my passport card with me when I travel domestically on an airplane, along with my license, so that I have a backup just in case. So, on that same token, before you travel, check the TSA website. Know what you can and can't bring through security and what you can and can't check in your bags, right? Be in the know and don't be ill-prepared. Check your credit cards. A lot of us have credit cards and we're unaware that the credit cards that we have carry certain perks. You know, I have some credit cards that get me, you know, triple points on travel. Some credit cards that I carry will get me concierge service at different hotels. There's some credit cards that the travel perk is you get automatic travel insurance if you book blah, blah, blah with your credit card. So, you know, one of the credit cards I have in particular, I love using when I travel because it automatically gives me insurance on rental cars. So when I go to a rental car company, they were like, would you like to buy extra insurance? I can decline that because if I pay for it on this credit card that I have, they cover the insurance 100%. So leading into the next point, make sure you bring cash with you, guys. I always bring cash with me when I travel because there's people that you're going to want to take care of along the way. And, you know, I don't like being that guy that's like, sorry, man, I can't help you out. I don't have any cash, you know. There's folks in the Orlando International Airport that, you know, they work for tips. And they work very hard, and they're very good, and they're very courteous and very nice. And I like to take care of those guys. So always have cash with you, and never, ever, ever bring your debit card. Lance, what are you talking about? So I always carry credit cards when I travel. I always carry cash when I travel, and I always bring a backup credit card. So why a credit card and never a debit card? Well, when you travel, it is possible that there are some dishonest people in the world out there. I know, shocking, right? Shocking.
What?
But if, let's say that your card gets skimmed, all right? If it's a credit card, 100% not liable for any of that fraud. Now, yes, I understand that if your debit card has a Visa, MasterCard logo, you're not liable for that fraud. However, those cards are tied directly to your checking and savings account. If those cards get compromised, a malicious individual can wipe out your bank account like that. And yes, you can report it to the bank. Yes, the bank will take care of you and refund you, but that takes time because there has to be an investigation and other things. In the meantime, you have no money, right? With a credit card, it's a line of credit. I don't care if somebody maliciously or fraudulently charges $1 million on my credit card. I won't pay that bill. And that's the credit card company's deal. Let them handle it. I'm not responsible for that fraud. So if for some reason you can't have a credit card or you don't want a credit card, that's fine. You know, cash is good. I also use burner cards. So what's a burner card? A burner card is a debit card that you don't really care about, that you only put enough money on when you need to pull money out for your trip, right? That way, if it does get compromised, you're only out the money that was on the debit card, the burner card anyway. Prepaid Visa gift cards, prepaid credit cards, that's another good workaround if you don't have a credit card or you can't have a credit card for whatever reason. But, you know, just try to protect yourself from, you know, fraudulent activity and getting your bank account wiped out, right? Here's a cool little travel tip for traveling with kids. I have kids, and whenever we go down to the parks, I always buy the kids Disney gift cards. So Disney gift cards are great. They work basically anywhere on property. But what I do is I'll buy the kids a certain denomination based on their age. You know, the older they are, they'll get a little more money. The younger ones, they get a little less money. But what's cool about it is the kids get excited that they get their own money to spend on vacation. And as a parent, when I give these kids those, you know, $50 or $25 gift cards, knowing that they're going to use it on whatever they want to, me as a parent, I can stop. How do I explain this? So every parent has that urge to try to seek the value of the thing that your child wants, right, Les? So, you know, you walk into the Emporium and your kid is like, I want this wooden Peter Pan sword that's $75. And you scratch your head going, really? $75 for that? And you as a parent, you as a sane adult go, is that really, is there value there in that, purchase? And you try to talk your kid out of it and go, well, do you really want that? Is that really what you want? When I get my kids these gift cards and they're like, Daddy, I want this. Like, hey, you have your own money, go for it. So it really takes a lot of that burden off me. And yes, of course I'm gonna get my kids a $75 Peter Pan sword. Of course I'm gonna do that. But again, when the kids want to buy a $3 pack of gum on their gift card, it's their money. They can learn the value of the dollar, and that's on them. It's their vacation, and they like it. They have a good time. So, I always recommend doing that. It's something I've done, ever since I started bringing my kids to Disney. So, and yeah, but we pack a lot of things, and we always make sure to pack those gift cards and our popcorn buckets, because those, apparently, I just found out recently that popcorn buckets from previous trips are reusable. Who knew? So
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I literally just found that out, like, researching this episode. I'm like, you can reuse the popcorn buckets? Good thing I never threw that one out. So it's good stuff.
It's a collector's item.
Yeah.
What are you
thinking?
thinking?
But I mean, like I said, but you can reuse them, right? Like, that's crazy.
And just to pick up what Lance said on the Disney gift cards, and I believe we may have covered this in an earlier episode, and just like he said, gift cards can be used for pretty much anything, but a lot of adults don't know that. So we will buy a lot of gift cards in preparation for our trips, and we'll basically, if you buy them in a whatever, $25, $50, $100, there's even, I believe, $250 denomination gift cards out there. Usually we can only find
and
the
$500 gift cards too.
I've definitely never seen those, but
yeah,
I
you
wish.
can get them right on Shop Disney.
So I'll follow up your comment with another comment after I'm done with this. So we basically collapse all those $100 gift cards onto one. You can have a max of $1,000 on a Disney gift card, and you can pay for your room with gift cards. You can pay for
absolutely.
park tickets with your gift cards. You can pay for your meals in the parks or at the resorts with your gift cards. You can buy merchandise at all the Disney stores. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, and I think there are less than a handful of maybe stores or restaurants on Disney property that, believe it or not, are not Disney affiliated or Disney owned. And some of those restaurants or stores will not accept Disney gift cards, unfortunately, but those are far and few between. But pretty much, I would say 99% of everything that's Disney on Disney property, you can use a gift card for. So, to Lance's point, where there's $500 ones if you buy right through Disney, that's great. But we gave a little tip, and we gave a little tip in one of our earlier episodes. I'll give it again. If you belong to Sam's Club or you shop at Target, you do have the ability, and again, a lot of people don't know this, you have the ability to get discounts on gift cards. So through Target, if you have their red card, which is, there's two red cards. There's one that's tied to your checking account at your bank, and there's a credit card. And if you use those red cards to buy gift cards at Target, they give you 5% off.
Yep.
And at Sam's Club, I'm not a Sam's Club member, so I don't know what the discount is, but it's probably in line with what Target is. So you can actually buy a large value or large amount of gift cards, and you get a discount off that. I don't believe Costco does it, and BJ's Wholesale, I'm not sure if they do. But I know for sure Target you can do that, and Sam's Club for sure. So you can buy them direct through Disney if you want, but if you want to try and save some money, which we highly encourage you to do, it's one of the tips and tricks that we like to bring to you, then there's some options for you.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to move on to packing lists. So what exactly should you be taking on your trip? What can you take? What should you leave at home, stuff like that. So what to bring? Well, obviously clothes, right?
Yeah.
And the best thing that I can say about what clothing you're going to take is what time of the year are you going to Florida? All right. So Lance and I, as we've said before, from Pennsylvania, so we're in the Northeast, and we have seasons here, although a little wacky, but we still have them nonetheless. And while it may be 45 degrees here, right now it's probably still in the 70s in Florida. So should you pack shorts and t-shirts? I know I will, because chances are I'm going to be pretty warm when we're down there. But it is winter time right now as we record this. You know, Florida does have some cold weather, and I would always recommend that you pack at least a pair of jeans or slacks, whatever you prefer. I always would encourage a light jacket or a sweatshirt. And then as far as rain gear, if you want to bring along your favorite rain jacket, go for it. I don't typically, what we do is we'll buy ponchos, and they're relatively inexpensive. And another tip, I get mine from Walmart. So I really don't shop at Walmart for anything but ponchos, and they're only 99 cents. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You use it once, you throw it away, and I've got 5 more in my backpack. So
Exactly. I buy a case of like 15 from Amazon for like $6. You know.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't go wrong, and you know they're in little baggies, little Ziploc baggies, so they fit pretty much anywhere. You can put it in your back pocket and forget that it's even there, and if you need it, you got it. Magic bands. So why are magic bands important? Well, if you still use magic bands, which I do, you want to make sure that if you're traveling through, if you're flying, bring it with you. I would not suggest you put it in your checked luggage, because if your checked luggage seems to disappear and you arrive in MCO or whatever airport you're flying into, Sanford, and now your checked bag is missing, well, now so is your magic band. And you can use your phone, but I like using the magic band, so I keep it with me. Not necessarily on my person, but in usually a backpack that I'm bringing with me on the flight. So just throw it in a pocket, forget about it. Now when you get down to Orlando, you got it with you.
Yep.
So electronics, okay? If you got cameras or GoPros or anything that's recording that's using SD cards and micro SD cards, make sure you got plenty of those. The prices on these things over the years have dropped so tremendously. They are dirt cheap. You can buy them anywhere. So another thing that you're going to want is extra batteries. And pretty much you're going to want to bring those again in your personal bag. That if you're flying, you want to take them with you. Don't put them in your checked baggage, especially if they're lithium batteries. That's a big no-no. And it could be whatever you need, you know, whether it's something specific to your equipment, like the battery that comes with the camera, or even, you know, AAAs, AA's, whatever. Just bring those with you in your bag. No issues there. And charging packs. So these are obviously really popular and huge too, right? So again, you want to bring those with you. Don't put them in your checked baggage. And the quality of these charging packs has gotten better over the years too. So they can provide more power. They can charge your phone or your devices more than just once now. Like I know with the big pack that I use, I can get probably 4 or 5 charges from a completely dead phone out of that one battery pack, which is great, because I'm usually pretty good about keeping my phone charged. My family members, not so much. So it really comes in handy. Again, covered this already. In your personal bag, don't put it in checked luggage. And if you're going on Amazon, you know, you can just, there's going to be tons of them on Amazon. Check the brand and the reviews. Look for ones that people are really happy with. Anchor, or I think it's Aki, or any other reputable brand. Mine is, as I sit here and use it, it's an Anchor, so has served me well. And we can put some links down in the description for you too, in case you're wondering what we're using. So if you're recording like Lance and I do, we take tons of videos and tons of pictures, so we can bring that content to you. So GoPro Accessories. During my recent trip in October, I had my GoPro and one of Lance's GoPros, as well as my phone, which I was recording with my Samsung device. So I had 3 different cameras at my disposal, and lots of attachments to go with that. A wrist strap is always a great one to have, so I actually took some footage on some of the roller coasters while I was on my most recent trip, and Lance was nice enough to let me use his wrist strap since I did not have my own. So that will be on my list of things to purchase for myself for Christmas. So, and another one is a small handheld handle that you can attach your cameras to. You can't use selfie sticks. They will make you walk them back to your car. But small handles that fit in the palm of your hand and hold your camera, those seem to be okay. And maybe a backpack strap or mount that just sits right on the shoulder strap, and you can record as you're walking around. Always a good one to have. Cables. Always got to have cables for charging phones, batteries, whatnot. Again, cash. I'll hit that one again. Lance already covered that in the last section. Credit cards, not debit cards, and it does rain occasionally in Florida, believe it or not. So maybe if you don't want to get your phone wet, or you can't get your phone wet, then a waterproof pouch that you can put your phone in while you're walking around the park. So there's a lot more that we could get into, but those are some of the highlights of things that Lance and I packed. So we wanted to bring that to you today.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, I know you're a planner, Les, and I'm a planner, and I love my checklists, right? So, you know, touching back a little bit on what we had said earlier in the episode at the very beginning, you know, use a checklist, guys. Use some kind of spreadsheet. Now, I'm not anymore, and I know, Les, you're not anymore, down to the planning to the minute using a spreadsheet. But I still do use a spreadsheet with our Disney wish list. You know, what are some of the rides that the kids want to go on? What are some of the rides that the adults want to go on? You know, what are some of our restaurant and food requests that we want? So we have all that, and then we put it on the checklist, and we know, you know, 8 months out is the magic number, or is the magic month to try to find our airfare, right? So check, you know, and then when do you check in for your airline? You want to check in 24 hours in advance, and the closer to 24 hours you can check in, number one, it's good for you because that means that there's going to be seats. If you're traveling on an airline, that you can pick your seats. You know, it'll allow you to pick the better seats, and it'll also get you into a better boarding group. So check in 24 hours ahead of your flight, and 8 months ahead of your flight, make sure you purchase your tickets, because that seems to be the sweet spot to get the best value and the least expensive airline tickets for what you want to get. Your hotel, make sure that your hotel is reserved, obviously, and you know, pro tip, fight the temptation to check in either, you know, at when you get to MCO or on the way through the MDE app. I know Disney really wants you to check in through that and not check in with guest services, but let me give you a little pro tip. You can, up to I think 2 or 3 days ahead of your arrival, you can request certain rooms. And I'm not saying upgrades, I'm saying certain rooms. As an example, you can request room number 1234 at Animal Kingdom Lodge, Kidani Village, as long as that room is one of the comparable rooms that you booked. So you can't request, obviously, a, you know, deluxe 1-bedroom when you paid for a studio, but you can request a specific room at the resort. And I will tell you something. When you check in online or through the MDE app, the computer does not honor those room requests. I always check in at guest services, and I have always gotten the room that I requested. Now, disclaimer, sometimes that room just isn't available, and you might not get it, so your mileage may vary, but for me personally, I have never been disappointed. So, pro tip, check in with guest services and you'll get what you want. Also, make sure that you have transportation to and from the airport on both ends of the trip. So, you know, whether it's Uber or you're going to park and ride, or, you know how you're getting to the airport, make sure you get there and factor in enough time for that travel and transportation to be able to get in to the airport to check in 2 hours before your flight. And then also make sure that you have transportation to and from the resort from MCO or Sanford. As of January 1st, 2022, they'll no longer be offering the Magical Express, unfortunately, but they will be offering Mears Connect. So make sure you've got that all squared away before you arrive, because you don't want to be stuck having to rely on something else. Right, Les?
Yeah. Uber's expensive.
Oh, Uber's very expensive.
I mean, if that's what you want to use, you can, but it's probably not the most economical thing Uber, that you can take.
Uber's perfectly fine. It's just be aware that Uber, you know, the rates change hourly based on the ebb and flow of, you know, so if you're getting there with an influx of people, you know, you're going to have to fight for an Uber, first of all. And second of all, you know, the prices get jacked up. You know, if it's a little bit slow time, then it might not be that expensive. But, you know, it is about an hour to get from MCO to Walt Disney World property. So bear that in mind too.
Yeah, just do your homework and find out what's most economical for you and your family.
Yeah.
All right, so then what's left then is park tickets and reservations. So obviously you can't get in the parks unless you have tickets or an annual pass, and since the pandemic has hit, Disney now requires you to have reservations. So no longer can you just pull into the parking lot and show up at the front gate and say, "Here I am, Disney, let me in," and go buy a ticket if you don't have one already. That just doesn't fly anymore. So if you know you're going to go, you're going to have your park tickets ahead of time. You're going to need to make reservations. It's the only way to guarantee that you're going to get in a park on the particular days that you're going to be there. And park availability in and of itself, depending on what time of the year and when your vacation falls, some of the parks may not be available on the days that you intend to go to them. So they do a really good job on the main Disney site. If you're going to buy tickets through the site, before you actually buy the tickets, Disney will let you look at the calendar, and it'll tell you whether the parks are available on those days that you're going to be there or not. So it's not a surprise, and it's not a secret. It's open for the world to see what parks are available on what days. And again, we've talked about this in the past. There's different buckets. Right. So there's so many reservations for someone who just bought a ticket and wants to go to the park for a day or several. There's another set of reservations in a separate bucket for people who are staying at a Disney resort. And there's yet a third bucket that is only for annual pass members. So you obviously pick the bucket that suits your needs for that trip that you're taking, and then it'll show you whether the park is available on that day or not.
Yeah, and make sure you check it, especially if you're buying third party and you're not buying direct from Disney. Check it, because you don't want to buy and then come to find out you're stuck with tickets that you can't use. So
right, because before we bought our annual passes, we actually bought our tickets for the October trip through my wife's employer. They have as part of their benefits package, they align with this company that you can buy discount entertainment tickets through, and Disney is one of those things that we can buy through them. So it was actually cheaper to buy through this company than it was to buy direct through Disney, so that's why we did that. But you would never know if the parks are going to be available on those days that you're planning on going, because there's not that same line of information on those third-party sites as there is if you're buying direct through Disney. So good point.
Right. Yep.
Dining reservations, and corresponding park reservations. So what does that mean? So it used to be that you could schedule your dining reservation 6 months out. Again, that is a casualty of COVID, and no longer can you book out that far ahead. Now it is 60 days from the date that you're going to set foot in the parks. So you should know what you want to go, what reservations you want, what restaurants you want to eat at. Some people will pick the restaurants that they want to eat at, and then the park they go to is based on that reservation. Some people do the opposite. They say, well, I know I'm going to Magic Kingdom on such and such day, so I'm probably just going to stay at Magic Kingdom and eat, so let me see what the restaurant availability is for Magic Kingdom for that day. You can do it however you want. The point is, it's very tough to just walk up to a restaurant and say, I want to eat here. Sometimes you get lucky and they'll say, well, maybe you can't eat now, but if you come back in an hour, we'll have a reservation for you. Sometimes they say, I'm sorry, we have nothing available. We are completely booked for the remainder of the day, and try somewhere else. So I would say book as close to the 60 days or on the 60th day if absolutely possible. Coordinate if it's going to be in the park that you're at. Are you going to have to park hop, which we've talked about in the past, or are you even going to leave the park and go to a restaurant in one of the resorts? Because there's many restaurants in the resorts. It's not just restaurants in the parks themselves. There's restaurants all over Disney property that you can go to. So just make sure that you are booking as early as you possibly can, and try and be flexible in the times that you're looking for. So, and then last thing is, it's the day that you're leaving. Are your bags completely packed? And did you check everything off on the checklist that Lance referred to earlier? So it doesn't hurt to go over those checklists one last time, because once you walk out that door, you're gone, and chances are you can't turn around and go back and get it. Yes, you can probably buy some of those things when you get to Disney, but if it's something that you can get, you're going to pay more for it at Disney than you paid for it at home.
Right. Like
and if
umbrellas.
it's something that, yeah.
Or ponchos.
Ponchos, yeah, you'll pay like $12 to $14 for a poncho,
Yes.
whereas you could have just went to Walmart and got it for 99 cents. So,
Yes.
But just one last check to make sure you got everything that you intend to take with, and that you're not leaving anything behind, and go enjoy your Disney trip, because that's what Lance and I will be doing.
That's right. We are going to be enjoying our trip. And guys, if there is anything that you would like us to show you or record or touch on while we're on this trip, please mention it in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from all of our fans and followers. And that about wraps up this episode, guys. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us today, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night.
See you, everybody.